Starting a new unit, and it's called Dealing with Peer Pressure. Pretty important heading into the teenage years where peer pressure is everywhere. But don't worry, there is also peer pressure that is positive. So it's not all negative peer pressure. Okay, so in this chapter, here are your terms to learn. Please look these vocabulary words up within the chapter and write down the definitions and use those to study before a test. And any notes that we take for this chapter, you'll need to study those before a test also. Be prepared for your test and get good grades. Okay, so in this chapter you will learn the difference between positive and negative peer pressure, how to avoid manipulative behavior, how to respond effectively to negative peer pressure, the difference between passive, aggressive, and assertive responses to peer pressure, and how to use refusal skills. How to use refusal skills. That's a hard word to say, refusal. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to give you is, what is peer pressure? So before you know what peer pressure is, I think you need to know what the word peers mean. It's normal for peers or people the same age to try to influence each other. So I can say now, after reading that sentence, that peers are people your same age. So say you know someone who's 60 years old. Their peers are the people their same age. They're 60 years old. Those of you who are 14, 15 years old, or 13, 14, 15 years old, you are peers. You are people the same age. Okay, the pressure you feel to do what others your age are doing is called peer pressure. So the pressure you feel to do what others your age are doing is called peer pressure. Because most teens are very sensitive to their peers' opinions, peer pressure can be very hard to resist. And the first type of peer pressure we're going to talk about is called positive peer pressure. Positive peer pressure is what you feel when people your age encourage you to do something worthwhile. Tina's influence on her friend to study hard for a big test is very positive. So is Andrew's pressure on his friend to get in shape for a team sport. Positive peer pressure supports your values and beliefs. It almost always results in positive consequences for everyone involved. So that's positive peer pressure. And the next section is talking about role models. Let me scroll up here. Positive role models. Of course, everyone knows my positive role model, Michael Jordan. Okay, so when I was in high school, he was playing for the Chicago Bulls and just a very inspirational person. They always talked about how hard he worked in practice. In the practice and in the games, you could clearly see how hard he worked because he was so prepared for the game. So you practice how you actually play. I see that in sports all the time. Okay, so good role models, peers or others that young people look up to, exert positive influence. Okay, so role models should be showing positive influence. That's the goal. They may inspire you to work harder, to think about your future, and to choose right behaviors. You may be a positive role model to someone who looks up to you and is influenced by your actions. Role models can also serve as good examples of what not to do. I'm going to repeat that sentence as well. Role models can also serve as good examples of what not to do. A teen whose role models don't use tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs may be positively influenced to follow their example. Unfortunately, not all role models are positive ones. Some people who influence you may encourage you to act against your own values and beliefs. And the next section talks about a look at gangs. What do you really know about gangs? Consider the following facts. A gang is a group of people who associate with one another because they have something in common. Not all gangs are bad, but many are involved in criminal activities. Most of the crimes involve some type of violence or intimidation. There are many alternatives to joining a gang. If you're lonely or bored, search out a youth group, sports team, volunteer opportunities, or other activities in your neighborhood or community. If peers are negatively pressuring you, think about starting a group that works for positive change, such as a tutoring group or a vacant lot cleaning or cleaning a vacant lot. There's all kinds of volunteer opportunities out there. And I have in my classroom on the wall, I have on there, opportunities for leadership are all around you. Be the leader you would follow. I have that up in my classroom on the wall. And that's something that, volunteering for something like that and staying out of trouble, that might be a good thing that is a good thing for a lot of people. Not might be, it is. If you're harassed by gang members and are scared, get help. A family member, community group, school counselor, or police officer can help protect you and give you support. So that's about gangs. Okay, the next page, I'm not going to read all of this page. I just want to read about the negative peer pressure. So it says here, negative peer pressure is what you feel when your peers try to persuade you to do something you do not want to do. Going along with the crowd can be fun if what the crowd does supports your values and beliefs. And I think that's the key right there. If it supports your values and your beliefs, it's positive. If it does not support your values and beliefs, it is negative. So, but what if the crowd's actions betray your beliefs, what you believe is right? But let me repeat that. But what if the crowd's actions betray what you believe is right? What if the actions have negative consequences? Peers may try to persuade you to do something unhealthy, dangerous, or illegal, such as tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs. And I could add vaping in there because vaping wasn't around when this book was made. Or to do something that hurts other people. They may urge you to try something you feel you aren't ready for, or that goes against your better judgment. And on the side here, it says, like right here, where it says tips, understanding negative peer pressure. If you're pressured by others to act against your beliefs or take part in behavior that has negative consequences, stop and think carefully about what someone is pressuring you to do. Then ask yourself these questions. This is pretty important to ask yourself this before you do something. Will this hurt anyone or their property? Will it be harmful to me? Are there risks involved? Would my actions negatively affect the way my family, teachers, other people, or other friends and people in the community view me? If any of the answers are yes, then respond with a firm no. If you think you need to give a simple reason for not going along with what your peers want you to do, then change the subject and walk away. You don't need friends who don't care about your well-being. And I think that's a key thing. If they're trying to press you into something like that's going to hurt you or harm you, then that's not a true friend. Look around to find friends who do support you in a positive way. So that was a little bit about positive and negative peer pressure. And then we talked about being a good role model, being a positive role model, and then we talked about gangs. So that is the end of our lesson for today.